So you have to ask yourself the question, what's the difference between Charlie Kirk and you? Because I can answer, what's the difference between me and Charlie Kirk? And so the big difference, and I said this to my wife, the big difference between me and Charlie Kirk is, besides 11 years, me being 11 years older, is the size of the audience. Charlie Kirk was murdered. Charlie Kirk was assassinated not because he was worse than me or worse than you, but because he had people's attention, because he had an audience. In fact, he's probably more moderate than me or a lot of other people. I've probably dunked on him on Twitter at some point for something that I thought he said, which was dumb. I don't know. I don't have any memories of it. I have nothing against him, and I don't really have any, there's no bad thoughts. And even if I had a whole troop of dislike of him, I don't know if you imagined you replaced him with someone else that I don't like, it would never cross my mind that I think he should be dead, and that his children should grow up without their father. They should grow up without parents. But the reality is that the people who did this would happily kill you. And the only reason that they didn't is because you don't have an audience. Or for me, because my audience is too small, right? My potential audience is like 50,000. His was like 5 million, right? So 2 orders of magnitude higher, that's when people have to be killed for having bad ideas, okay? That's a really sobering thought. And I said that to my wife, and she, of course, one of the things she said was her first reaction was, I think, my initial reaction, she followed this up with, like, I'm not saying you should do this, but like, that's the gut reaction is, well, we should get rid of all social media, get rid of YouTube, delete all the channels and all that kind of stuff. Because the fact is, I've gotten death threats before. A lot of people don't realize this, and I'm not saying these should be super serious, but I've gotten death threats for things that I've said online. And, people have tried to hurt me because of things that I've said online. So the difference between me and you is probably just a matter of audience for most of the people watching. And the difference between you and Charlie Kirk is just a matter of an audience, right? So the people, just pay attention. There's people maybe in your life who are going to celebrate that somebody they've been told to hate has been murdered. The same way they would have celebrated if Donald Trump had actually been assassinated last year, as they would have been celebrating because they have been, they've been convinced, they've been told, they've taken to heart as part of their core beliefs this egregoric eidolon entity of Trump being evil. And Charlie Kirk is one of those too. They don't know him as a person. They know him as an idea, and they hate him for what he says and what he thinks. So they really are going to think the same thing about you. People think I was being very hyperbolous a couple years back when I said it was really hard for me to realize that a lot of the people that were my friends hate me and want me dead. But that's true. A lot of people that I have been friends with, that I went to college with, people maybe that were, went to weddings, went to my wedding, maybe even, they hate me and they want me dead. Okay. They would be very happy to know that I had been murdered for the things that I say. And I don't even say things that are too controversial. I'm pretty under the radar as far as YouTube stuff goes by necessity, because I know how these things work. And people say you're a little spicier on Twitter, and that's true. It's because I have a little bit more free speech over there. But they hate me and they want me dead. People think I'm being, you're so hyperbolous when you say they hate you. Of course they hate you. They will show you what they think about you by directing that hate towards someone that's exactly like you in every way, except that person has an audience. So is that person having an audience make them worse than you? No. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated because he's worse than you. He was assassinated because people listened to what he had to say. That's the only difference. And they would be just as ecstatic if you had traded places and you had that audience. Those people that knew you would have been happy to have you be dead as well. And that's a hard thing to accept. The like Scott Adams called it like weapons grade brainwashing, right? It's weapons grade. The weapons grade brainwashing that's been going on has convinced people that The political opposition really are enemies, like in the full extent of what Carl Schmitt meant by this, like 100 years ago. If you read something like The Concept of the Political, that there's this distinction between friend and enemy, and that's what politics really come down to. So you're the enemy, and therefore, just like in war, right? Politics are war from his perspective. They're like almost a precursor to war. It's very similar. So just like in war, the enemy combatant has to die for your own survival. So feeding into that is some of the layers of propaganda. It's really hard to kill a person that you know has like a wife and children and is just like you. So they have to be demonized. They have to be evil. They have to be a caricature. They have to, they have to have all of these things that make them not a human, that make them dehumanized. It's a really important thing to think about. So yes, I'm dead serious when I say, a lot of the people that I knew, a lot of people that were teachers of mine, maybe people that I went to university with, hate me and want me dead. They hate me and they want me dead. And I know because of what they say about people that are just like me, except that person has an audience. And if you were to press them, if you press them on it, it's like, what's the difference between them? You're not like him. I'm exactly like him. I'm worse than him. I have way more extreme opinions than he does. So you think it'd be good if I was killed? And they have ways of phrasing it. So it's like, he got what he deserved, or he could have stopped thinking those things. And it really just comes down to, if you think these things, if you say these things, you deserve to die. You deserve to be murdered. It really does come down to that. Now, if we want to go a level deeper than just sort of brainwashing, what I think opens up a lot of people to brainwashing is the spiritual dimension, right? The lack of belief, the lack of protective beliefs. Because the truth is, an open mind is a really dangerous thing, right? An open mind, we have to think of having an open mind as being good. But it's only good in contexts where it allows you to understand what the truth is, right? You can have a mind that's open to hearing things that are true. But if your mind is open and that causes you to believe things which are false or believe things that are harmful, then it's actually, there's no virtue to an open mind. The real virtue is being able to discern between lies and falsehoods. And the fact is, most people not only are impaired in their faculties to do this, but never approach what they're doing in life with that mindset in mind. They turn on the news tells them something, they accept the information as true, and then they react to it emotionally and maybe do something. There was this term that the left came up with called stochastic terrorism. If you don't know what stochasm is, it's noise, right? And I used this in one of my stories called Farewell to Once and Future Kings. For those of you who read it, if you were on the Patreon and you got it, right, it's basically noise. And if you increase the noise level, you can actually see patterns emerge. And so that's what this is that by constantly demonizing. Now, see, they try to project it onto this is what Trump's doing. It's the opposite. Okay. It's what they're doing, right? By making Trump into Hitler, by constantly talking about how evil he and everybody like him is. And of course, logically, if he's evil, everybody who agrees with him is also evil, which is most people now, most people in America, right? So he's evil. If he's evil, that justifies all kinds of things, including assassinating him, right? Like if you could go back in time and kill, like he's Hitler. If you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you? So then you're going to have a lot of individuals who are going to think, I should kill Hitler, right? I'm the guy who's back in time to kill Hitler, and I should go do that. You have multiple people who've decided that they were going to kill Trump. Now, Charlie Kirk is a much smaller figure than Trump, and he really is not. He's a political figure, but he's not a politician, right? He's not an official. He's merely like a person of ideas. He's a media personality. So it would be like killing Rachel Maddow. That would be insane. Like most people would not condone that, but that's where we're at. He said the things that are bad, and therefore he deserves to die.